process because it's changing. It's actually revising the idea of the dome, but and also thinking on bus stops. So I will see still how this was the first attempt to look at the problem. We ran a couple of critiques. One of the questions was safety, hiding areas, that that may not be safe, that it should be actually open. So until somebody doesn't make the proposal, we cannot critique it, So we are going through that scheme right now. How that could be articulated.
And then Ben is the last one.
So I somewhat know Ben's project, but please jump in if you.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, it's a. You should probably turn to page 116 and 117 just to start with the panel. It's a two-part paneling system with a plus panel and a star-shaped panel, which interweave to produce a solid wall system, right? And the idea that the substructures could actually run through the plus panels, which you see on page 117 on the top portion.
Like a flexible PVC pipe.
Right. And that could actually feasibly run through those cavities within the wall. And from a programmatic standpoint, Ben initially thought of it as a kind of, I think, a place where beverages were sold.
But it's switching.
But it's since switched a bit towards restrooms.
Yeah, or sanitation.
Right. So
Toilets, showers, like a battery of a series of them.
I think the idea kind of came out of the fact that if you look on page 114, the roof slopes to the middle. And so the idea of collecting rainwater or water, even if there's a polytank rainwater into the platform, that you basically create some kind of water associated program. And he's also thinking about raising the building much higher off the ground, so whatever comes out of the toilets is stored there temporarily. Can be linked to biogas, fertilizer. There's a lot of money to be made in human waste, honestly, seriously. Ben's doing some really interesting designs around how do you change the toilet experience. There's a ridiculous statistic that 1 in every 70 Ghanaians has access to a toilet. And yesterday when we were in Jamestown, it was 60 pesos to use a toilet. And if you think about 60 pesos for somebody in Jamestown, that's a lot of money. Every day, if you maybe 3 times a day you need to go to the toilet, who's going to be paying 60 pesos every time? So it's not affordable right now. And building some kind of affordable toilet structure that you can disseminate. The government has a huge program to gain access to toilets in dense populations like Jamestown, but they are not doing too well. We had the chance to photograph a few facilities. It's actually really clean. It's just they're expensive. When you can just go to the beach, which is what people typically do there. So I think this program is actually incredibly relevant, and it also just might draw a lot of attention to this problem here. We were also talking to somebody last night about.
That was a very good conversation.
Yeah, there's a professor from NYU doing research on food and water security in Ghana, mainly in Tamale and Kumasi, but a little bit in Accra. And the problem isn't necessarily just the technology having it there, but the behavior, how people understand the benefits of using a toilet, what goes around the toilet, where is the water excreted from? Does that have any impact on people's food hygiene? And so how do we get people to change their behaviors of going to a beach to do their thing as opposed to using a toilet? And that's probably the biggest hurdle. I mean, we're used to using toilets, but if you've grown up without a toilet, somebody tells you have to enter a room and sit quite uncomfortably on this thing. You know, as humans, we've evolved to actually use toilets by squatting. Like, it's really interesting. You guys should read about it. Maybe not today, but you know, there's a natural way to go to the bathroom, and this is actually quite unnatural the way we use toilets today.
Unnatural.
Unnatural,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, this company out of Silicon Valley came out with a stool.
Yeah, and I
stool.
saw they had a
You
really
basically have to
cute.
put your legs on the stool, and it's like so much better for your health.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's a really interesting kind of design.
And one of the issues that the professor from when you raised was that it actually, well, lack of restrooms, particularly for children, actually stunts growth for them, their development process
Yeah,
as well.
totally. If you're holding
So-
it in, yeah.
But from what you said earlier, it's almost a monetary issue as well because of the expense that goes into it. Which is it possible to actually produce a design that's actually feasible, economical, accessible?
Yeah, because the minute you put something like this there, somebody has to maintain it, right? And who's going to maintain it? Somebody who's being paid. You're not going to do that for fun. And who pays for that? Will the community? When there's a free resource, you know, it's right at the beach, right? It's right there. So it's how do we make money? Do we sell waste, the human waste, you know, as fertilizers? Do we use it as biogas? What are the different steps in this? Who can we add value to, so we can, you know, keep this you know, business model of the toilet going? And that might be really interesting. There are a lot of groups doing interesting work related to human waste. We need to start looking at waste more seriously in this country. It's an untapped resource. So I think that's the end of the projects from this studio. There's another studio also looking at it that's coming in the first week of May, a much larger group. But I think there are a number of areas where, you know, we've been talking about working with the design lab or anyone really at Ashesi, students who are interested. And it can revolve around tooling, fabrication tooling, you know, as we described earlier on, like low-tech press technologies. There's quite a lot already going on here, and how do we tap into that? The second thing is storytelling. I think Gordon was very interested in this. You know, documenting how we're engaging with the community on actually identifying what is a useful program. There's a documentation of working with Chalet Wate organizers themselves, and we've worked very closely with them throughout the years. So it's very much an intimate sort of setting, and you know, as we build, documenting that process, taking it down during the festival itself. There's a whole story, and the story can extend beyond the actual object of our building into coconut husk and the coconut industry in this country, because it's fascinating. I spent a month in December going to different coconut farms in Ghana, and it's